Nice to meet you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the crypto CFO team to have organized this. So on here, you have myself, co-founder and CEO of Rise, and Andrew is here as well, who's the co-founder and CTO.
Hey, everyone.
So what is Rise? Basically, Rise is a Web3 enabled payroll and compliance solution. So what we do is help companies, organizations, DAOs, protocols, any kind of organization onboard, hire, and pay international workers or contributors in both fiat and crypto or crypto in the most compliant way. That's kind of the our mission here. So just to give you a quick background, so myself and Andrew are the co-founders. We've gone through a couple of rounds of funding throughout the years. We had some of the most prominent VCs in the Web3 space, as well as the more traditional Web2 space. Been growing a lot for the past couple of months. So in the world of work that we are today, things are changing pretty fast. On one hand, you have talent that's becoming more and more independent. You have lots of independent contractors that are growing within the workforce. People want to have, flexibility of location, flexibility of hours, and financial flexibility as well. They're becoming more demanding with their clients, with their employers. So a lot of people start to see crypto as a perk within their pay. For example, 50% of Gen Zs want to receive part of their paycheck in crypto. 61% of workers view digital assets as a strong retirement investment option, as a good alternative to traditional, fiat investments. And 36% of workers want to be paid in crypto. We believe at Rise that those numbers are only going to grow as younger generations of workers grow within the workforce. And we're here to help businesses essentially satisfy those needs with our dual payment infrastructure. On the other end, on the employer side of things, organizations are also changing. So now you have not only corporations with fiat as part of the treasury, you also have protocols, DAOs, more decentralized kind of organizations that have treasury in crypto. On top of that, you also have businesses that now, especially with what happened about a year ago with the banks, that businesses that are revising how they store their funds, how they manage their treasuries, and that are exploring, not only fiat as part of their treasury, but also crypto as part of their treasuries. And within crypto, throughout different stables on different chains, etc. So different kinds of organizations with lots of different kinds of treasuries. So in order for these organizations to adapt, to stay competitive within the recruiting market, to attract and retain talent, especially younger generations, they need to be able to hire on board workers globally. And that means, knowing what it takes to hire someone, for example, in Brazil, in Japan, across the world, having the different tax experts, consulting experts in HR, the different agreements that are compliant at a local level, etc., and offer payment flexibility. How do we pay people around the world in different treasuries, locally, in an instant manner? And how do we pay people in crypto when they want to be paid in crypto and we don't have crypto as part of our treasury? So that's exactly why we created Rise. We can talk about that a little bit later, I guess, how we came to build the product. But essentially what we have today is a dual payment infrastructure, as well as compliance infrastructure that enables us to automate the routing between fiat and crypto. We're enabling all these organizations to hire and onboard international workers around the world, pay them in different kinds of currencies without having to go through the manual process of getting, wallet addresses, doing test transactions, getting different beneficiary informations for workers around the world, because every single bank has different information that they require, et cetera, et cetera. We do onboard contractors. So whenever the system is pretty straightforward, companies get on board on the system, managers sign up as a business, they invite workers, the workers go through KYC as part of the onboarding process. So we have different checks that we check. in order to verify that the people are actually who they say they are. So we verify documents, addresses, identity. We also do AML checks as part of us being a regulated entity. That's through the onboarding. We provide agreements for the companies and the workers. So, professional service agreements that state that those workers are their workers, and Rise acts as what we call a third-party payment agent, or essentially agent of record. We're here to facilitate payment on behalf of our customers. We also deal, when the contractors are based in the US, we deal with 1099s. And for W-2s, we have some news that we're going to announce here towards the end of the call that we're pretty excited about. We also have built a system for DAOs, essentially satisfying their needs. A lot of DAOs have contributors that want to stay anonymous with them when working for them. So what we do is that we help those contributors stay anonymous with their clients or their DAOs, but we still go through KYC and essentially verify that they are actual human beings behind it. Payment system. So we have essentially the most, I would say, flexible payment system that exists out there when it comes for, paying international workers. From a fiat standpoint, we have access to some of the biggest payment infrastructures in the world. Some of those that, satisfy the needs of some of the biggest tech companies in the world, essentially enabling us to do local and instant payments all around the world. In about 100 different countries and different currencies. That's for fiat. When it comes to crypto, we have built and that's why we say we are Web3 enabled. We have built the majority of our infrastructure on chain, on Arbitrum, and we can dive in a little bit why we chose Arbitrum. But that essentially enables us to do all of our accounting and all of our balancing of balances on chain. And then on top of that, we are integrated with many different chains that you can see here, all EVM compatible. So essentially giving us a pretty robust and fleshed out way of paying workers independently of the treasury used by the customers, the employers. We have different pay schedules that you can set up on the system. I will go through that when I show you guys the platform, but essentially that goes to show the flexibility that we bring for managers that want to pay contributors and workers. We do, this is pretty much what we do, how it works. Essentially, we built out the system in a very, user-friendly fashion, so that, anyone, even if they're not eligible with crypto, can use our system and pay people in crypto. Contractors choose their ways of payouts independently from the way payers fund their account. And then Andrew, I don't know if you want to jump into this slide. This is a key component of our infrastructure called the Rise ID. And Andrew, if you want to take it away, say what it is and what the purpose is.
Yeah, thanks. So as Hugo mentioned, every user on the Rise platform goes through an onboarding phase, and that's for us to verify you are a real person, you are who you say you are, and you're in a location that we can support. Once you go through that process of onboarding, you're given this thing called a Rise ID. This is an on-chain smart contract that supports the ERC 725 standard X and Y, which happens to be data storage and execution. But that allows us to interact with the end user in a very secure way by using wallets and the blockchain. So this new smart contract is generated, put on chain. It is given permissions to interact with certain other people on chain who we've also verified, and that's how payments are facilitated. And so this on-chain contract is, again, foundationally at the security layer of our system. We're using a decentralized blockchain, Arbitrum, so all the transactions go through these smart contracts, and the only way to invoke one of these transactions is having your wallet, of course. And what makes it really nice is that we've created a system that is all gasless. So every user that's on here has a wallet, but they don't necessarily know that they are using a Web3 wallet. They aren't worried about if they have Ethereum or any way to pay for the gas. They're simply clicking buttons and signing messages that we then send to the blockchain in a very secure way. So it allows us to have this access control system in one of the most secure technologies ever created, while allowing the user to use a website just like they normally would. Part of the ERC 725 standard also is data storage, so it allows us to store attributions for this user. There's no public data on these smart contracts, of course, but it allows us to read information off of there and know that permissions are set for different payers or payees and different ways of identifying themselves. What's to come with the RISE ID is a whole lot. Obviously, you can probably see other ways that this could be useful for sharing KYC permissions, even sharing KYC data eventually, given the approval by that end user, and also attesting to past history of certificates or credit or what have you. Yeah, every user gets this, and I think there's a lot more to come on the RISE ID.
Yeah, and I think just to give practical use cases that we're actually exploring as we speak is, to give you an idea, we provide through a partner, a third-party provider, insurance, travel and health insurance for all of the independent workers that are on our system. They can opt in if they want to, because that's a key part of being an independent contractor is that your client doesn't provide with those benefits in healthcare. So that third-party provider, a practical use case we're exploring with the RISE ID is having the independent contractors, instead of having to pass KYC on RISE and then pass KYC on that insurance provider via the RISE ID, they could plug in their wallet, and with the click of a button, share the information so that they don't have to go through a second KYC. That would typically be a practical use case that we want to explore. So yeah, Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question real quick on the RISE ID. Is this issued as like a sort of NFT? And if so, is it kind of like a soul-bound NFT where you can't transfer it from that wallet? Or is it, you mentioned it's a smart contract. Is there something, I guess the end user doesn't necessarily have to have a wallet. So maybe it's not an NFT. Maybe it's just within your own systems.
Non-fungible token, yes, it's more like a soul-bound non-fungible token, but really it's designed to be this user and this user alone. Obviously, you wouldn't trade this or anything. It's designed to be essentially, it might be more akin to like their wallet or like, count abstraction in a way. Like their wallets are associated with this smart contract, and they're the only ones with permission to invoke anything through the smart contract. The ERC 725 standard actually allows you to invoke anything through the smart contract, given you have the permissions to do that, like a token transfer on some other platform if they wanted to. Right now, we're focused on the security and the controls around the RISE ID, but this can become much, much more because it can effectively invoke any type of transaction.
And then I know you guys mentioned that there's like a way to protect the privacy of the people that want to be part of like anonymous for a DAO, but obviously you guys still need to vet that they are who they say they are. So can you guys talk a little bit more about how that would work and how that's protected?
Yeah.
I mean, essentially or Andrew, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, sure. The identity is not, the smart contract is security controls and permissions attestations, but they're not actually holding raw data to say who they are. And so we do need to vet that person. It is in our database. If they wanted to actually share that information with some other third party, they would approve on chain that says that this party can read it, a certain piece of data, but it's not actually read from on-chain data, essentially. So our anonymous users, even on our platform today, they flip a toggle in our system that just says, I don't want to share my identity information, but they can still get paid because they have a RISE ID and a place to be paid on our platform.
Very cool. Thank you.
Do you guys have any other questions, or should we? I don't know if David is managed to get in there, but
yeah, he wasn't able to. I couldn't help him in there. I'd definitely like to explore, maybe outside of this call, the ability to work with certificates in the RISE ID, because we do a lot, obviously, with CPE certificates and certification programs that we're creating. So after the call, I'd love to circle back and learn more about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes without saying that the industry is so young that we want to work with all the different players in the space. So in the audience here, if anyone has any idea of how they could potentially integrate the RISE ID within their existing system, or if they want to learn more about our current operation and the way we see things, like, we're obviously open to any connections after this call.
Absolutely.
I guess, we also wanted to show you guys the platform. I mean, before we do that, maybe Andrew, we could, go through some of the questions that David had written down.
Yeah, sure. I don't have those in front of me. Maybe you do.
Yeah. Let me just I'll stop sharing for a second. Okay, there you go. All right, cool. All right, so give me a second. I guess we could also, I think that was one of the questions, how we came to building Rise, how we got the idea of Rise that we have today. So we actually, Andrew and I met, I think, in 2019. We actually met online via a platform called AndrewList at the time. Got extremely lucky to found each other. And our initial idea for Rise was to build a marketplace, kind of like a Fiverr or Upwork equivalent, connecting businesses and independent contractors, and then facilitating the entire transactional aspect on chain. So secure payments, faster payments, lower fees. Really empowering independent contractors, which we believe that these technologies were built to empower individuals. So we felt that was compelling. We built out the marketplace, realized quickly that having a bootstrap business, building a two-sided marketplace, was going to be a little harder than expected in hindsight. And as we went through that endeavor, we essentially, as we spoke to lots of our customers, we realized that their biggest pain points were not necessarily finding those independent contractors, but more so paying them internationally and in a compliant fashion. So we thought, why don't we package the payment infrastructure that we built and add a compliance layer on top of it and sell those, to all kinds of organizations. So we decided to pivot, I think, about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, rebuilt the platform, closed our seed round, launched it in, I believe, June of 2022. And now we are, in terms of numbers, we have about 100 customers, all kinds of, different organizations, startups, agencies, mostly Web3 for now, but growing within the Web2 space as more and more companies are interested to find out about crypto payroll and enabling crypto payroll for their employees. We pay out thousands of independent contractors, and currently we have volumes of around 20 million a month in USD. Definitely growing at a rapid pace. We're only doing business to independent contractors for now, but we're actively working on launching our EOR service, so employer of record. So not only we will work with independent contractors, we will also employ full-time employees on behalf of our customers. And that is, if a customer, let's say, is based out of France and wants to hire someone in the US, but doesn't know how to, we have the entities to do so in the US. We hire the person, provide healthcare benefits, automate the tax deductions process, and then provide the payslips, the agreements, and do that for our customers. That with that crypto and fiat angle. And that is coming in the next couple of months. We're actively working on that. So pretty excited about that. We will launch in the US first, and then the goal is to deploy to, ultimately be available in every single country of the world within the next couple of years.
Very cool.
All right. Yeah. All right. Let me pull out those questions.
I'd love to know too, when you guys created the company and kind of just got started, what was the biggest challenge that you had? I would imagine there was some intense hurdles and sleepless nights. What was kind of that first big challenge?
I mean, it's still the same, we still go through these. I guess, we came up with the idea with that first initial marketplace idea. We worked on it for a couple of months, raised from friends and family. That was a process in itself, raising just with a vision, basically. Built out the product. I think one of the first hurdles I think we had was it in 2020 where we launched the marketplace and gas prices went off the chart at some point.
That was super interesting time. Like L2s weren't really much of a thing then, and we're on L1 trying to send a transaction for $5 for basically a $10 worth of value. And even then, like we weren't really able to support that because like we thought people were going to have like a way to get Ether in their wallet and actually send this transaction, and it ended up being way more complex than anyone was really willing to take on at the time. Like any customer was willing to take on, because you also had to have a Web3 wallet. Like, so it was very focused on the Web3 environment, but it's hard to attract a lot of people to use your platform when you have all these hurdles and this resistance. So yeah, that was that was by far the biggest technical and usability hurdle. And as I mentioned earlier, since then we've moved over to L2. We pay for all the transactions. Everyone's actually given a wallet when they sign up through our platform too, so they don't have to bring a MetaMask. They don't have to bring or be exposed to anything Web3. And essentially all they need is a password to encrypt this thing. So a lot of things have changed since then. But even with those technical challenges, again, just trying to find enough content producers for a marketplace and the customers to buy that content was also very, very difficult for us as a very small company with very little capital.
Yeah, and to note also that we launched the marketplace. The verticals we chose were content designers and writers, which are two extremely subjective verticals. It's not like engineers where they do a line of code, the code works or the code doesn't work. Like we had instances where a client would come in and say, hey, David, can you design this logo blue in a circle? The contractor would do it, as efficiently as possible, but the client would be like, this is not what I asked for. A very subjective line of service. So that was also like being able to match properly was a hurdle. And then when we pivoted, so we realized we wanted to pivot. I remember, as if it was yesterday, we were, in terms of funding, like, well, our bank account was in the negative, basically. So we stopped paying ourselves for a couple of months. We knew we wanted to pivot. We knew there was, a huge opportunity ahead of us. The only goal was to convince investors. So that was a process as well. We managed to get through it with some prominent investors, and off we were, building the new product. And I think since we launched the product, like it's been a constant rush in terms of demand, in terms of traction, questions that customers have. So overall, pretty exciting.
One feature that I've like wanted to see for a long time is something to do with like vesting payroll. This is something that's like been super interesting to me, like that I think would be an amazing innovation in the space, where you could the person paying the contractors could lock in that what they estimate the payroll to be for that session. Let's say it's a month-long period, and then as those workers clock those numbers, or as the kind of time lapses, in real time, that person is earning those funds, and they can go claim it. They can wait and save the gas fees and just claim it all when it's all available, or throughout the process, they could claim it as it goes along. And I just think that, like, in the US at least, there's a lot of problems with payday lenders and, kind of predatory pricing on those short-term loans. And this would be a way for them to basically, you've earned that amount of money. It's easier if someone's on like a fixed monthly fee, but I don't know. I just want to throw that out there because that's something that like always interested me, and like it would be a really nice innovation in the payroll space as well, where you could kind of have like a smart contract that vests, for a period. Obviously,
I think too that would be like an amazing thing for hourly employees and even project based. On the side I do graphic design, and it's like you get to a certain point in the project, and then it's 3 weeks to get payment, or it's and then if you're 2 minutes late with the design work, it's a big issue. But when it's time to get paid, that's always like the problem. So I think, to Taylor's point, an initial smart contract that would say, once this stage is done, you'll get that percentage of the payment. So he's been talking about that for a while, and I love that.
I always talk about that. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's super interesting, and again, it goes down to, in my opinion, like whether the work that's being done is objective or not. Because we could easily, you could set up smart contracts so that when pieces of code are written, or like a certain milestone is achieved, such as when it comes to sales, for example, if we're able to link, that's also thinking out loud, but I think it has opportunities. Like the customer comes in, puts funds, in a pool, and then the sales reps or whoever's in HubSpot, finding leads, they're hitting their quotas. As soon as they hit the quota, because some customers have moved down the pipeline in HubSpot, that could be linked to a smart contract, essentially unlock funds. Like there's many ideas, and stuff that could be done that way. When
That's
it's
very cool,
more
yeah.
subjective, I guess it's a little harder, but
Yeah.
Now, another question I'd be interested in, another issue I'd be interested in is, have you received any feedback from your users now on, I know you had posted a blog post a while back about employee attraction. So I'm wondering if there's been any feedback as opposed, a company that does not offer crypto payments as opposed to a similar company that does. I don't know if you've been doing it long enough or if there's any data on that.
I mean, recently we've actually won deals where it was a Web2 company, a Web2, software agency. When I say Web2, it's more like they only have treasury and fiat, basically. But a company like that is starting to onboard workers around the world. And in some instances, they were located in Argentina, in Brazil, in other countries where, the local fiat currency, there's a little bit of instability and inflation, and those workers want to be paid in stables. That company doesn't know how to, the manager doesn't know how to, process a crypto, like a blockchain transaction, manage to get the wallet address, get a wallet for the business, all that stuff. We do that for them. We automate that. So that was a use case that I think is going to start to grow, within the next couple of months and a couple of years. But, definitely interesting to see those companies, more traditional, start to be interested in those dual payment infrastructures.
But I think it has to do a lot with the customer type for us. Like we're seeing the more technology savvy customers that has actually traction, right? Where Hugo said we've won deals because they actually are looking for a way to pay in crypto. They don't know how, and they don't necessarily want to deal with it either. What we've also seen too is that those same customers, when they get paid in crypto, they're ecstatic because their money is instantly there and ready for them at their disposal. Whereas the banking industry, the banking sector and the banking rails, they have a lot of trouble. Like, is my account number right? Is the beneficiary exactly right? Where's the document to justify this payment? All kinds of other hurdles that just don't exist in the crypto world. So I think as more experienced people are exposed to it more and more, it's going to even catch up and really catch on very quickly because of such good experience by using those rails.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that for me, when I have with my consulting clients that pay me in USDC, for example, like I prefer that to a direct deposit for my clients, in like the cannabis accounting world, because I know that if I send it to Coinbase and I do a transfer from Coinbase, to my bank, it'll hit the same day. It'll hit it in a couple of hours because it recognizes that transaction, it's come through. And so it's so much more efficient, even if you are effectively going back to fiat as well. And here in Costa Rica, where I live, it's, the banking system is so antiquated and there is a lot of Bitcoin adoption. So getting paid in Bitcoin is super interesting here because for the vendors, they pay less of a fee on that, even though there is a fee to transfer from Bitcoin to their bank account on the local wallet we have. But they prefer that because it's a lower fee and there's a lot less bureaucracy. There's no bureaucracy tied to it like there is with the traditional banking sector here. So I love it. Yeah, I think I think you're right, and I think you'll see more adoption with this, and especially people who realize that, like, hey, I could put into a 401k and buy the Bitcoin ETF, or I could just buy or I could just get paid in the real thing and actually own the underlying asset. So very interesting stuff.
I think a word too that you mentioned, and it gets brought up a lot, is adoption. And everybody focuses on this mass adoption concept and how do we bring more people into crypto and onboard these next users. And I think for builders and individuals like yourself and corporations like yourself, it's about real world application. It's like, this isn't a hard concept to grasp. It's like you get paid in a check that needs to clear 3 days later, or direct deposit, or do you just want instant payments? Do you want to make it easier as a contractor? And I think when I take a step back and I look at just mass adoption of the whole space, it's projects like this that are just no disrespect to you guys at all, but it's simple. It's a no-brainer. The idea of course, it's like everybody can grasp this. It makes sense. And it's like almost anybody who sees a project is going to be, okay, this is, you know, how do we put this into play? So kudos to you guys. And I think that's may not even have been your initial goal, but it's kind of like a runoff thing.
Yeah, you know, our initial goal is to bring just that to people, to crypto. And that's really it. Like, you can get exposed to crypto by investing in it. And that's how most people come to know. But I left my full-time corporate job to go do a crypto startup, and I got paid in crypto, and it was awesome, basically. And so what we want to do is bring that to people, have that be another means of getting their exposed to it, but also then being exposed to the opportunity thereafter. Once you have these stable coins, how do you make it work for you and make more, you know, individual wealth, right? And so that's really our goal. That's what we definitely focused on in the years to come here.
Absolutely. And I know you guys are going to get into a demo of the product. I'd love to see that. I'm sure everyone else will. We do have one question in the chat. What do your services cost? Feel free to answer that after the demo, or now as you choose.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we have essentially we have a dual model. We let customers choose the model that they want based on what makes the most sense for them. We either charge a monthly fee per contractor, per active contractor, active being meaning, sorry, getting paid on a monthly basis. You can find, you know, our prices on the website. We also have discounts for startups, if, you know, depending on different requirements. And on top of the monthly fee, I mean, instead of the monthly fee, we also have a commission-based model where you can pay a percentage of the payment volume. And that is 3%. And then whatever makes sense for you, because we have, you know, in some instances, clients that have high volumes, like a lot of people, but low volume, low amounts, basically, where it makes more sense to pay a commission, and others that have people that get paid, you know, larger amounts, and then in that case, it makes more sense to pay a monthly fee. So these two models, basically, that you can choose from. All of that information is also available on our website. Should I, if there aren't any other questions, should I share my screen again and show the platform?
Absolutely.
Please, yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like from a manager standpoint. Let me just clear this out. Okay, here we go. So here I'm logged in as a manager, and you'll see that as I go through this demo, like the Rise ID, like I'll be able to show you concrete examples of those things that I mentioned on the presentation. Here I'm logged in as a manager. You can see my dashboard. We also have a referral program, by the way, in case you guys are interested, where we rev share based on how many people you bring into the platform. Obviously, we can talk about that externally. Balance. You can see action items. So action items are tasks or notification that we send managers and payees in order to be in good standing with the system. So these could be signing a professional agreement, funding your balance when it's low, approving a payment, you know, filling out your tax form when you're a payee, all sorts of tasks that you need to, or like update your bank account, stuff like this, to be in good standing with the system. Here, as you go down, you have your number of contractors that are active in a given month, pay schedules, all your active pay schedules. So you have ongoing pay schedules and also, you know, one-off that I'll show you guys in a second. So here you can see Hugo, contractor, is getting paid per milestone. All your sets of transactions that you've done in the past. You have also direct access to those payments. You can essentially get receipts, invoices that you can share with your different accounting systems or even your banking partners if need be. Here, let me show you the Rise idea. So when someone signs up, as we said, we help them generate this unique identifier. Sorry, my computer is being slow when I share my screen. But yeah, this is the Rise ID page. So this unique identifier, the smart contract that either a payee as an individual will own or an organization will have. Here you can see the different information about the company. This Rise ID, the smart contract, is always owned by a master wallet address. So this is a wallet address, a wallet that I have that owns the smart contract. You can transfer the ownership if need be. of that smart contract. You can also add pay permission delegates. So essentially, as Andrew was saying, when someone needs to interact with our smart contracts, we ask them to sign a transaction from a wallet that is either the master wallet or a delegate that you can add that is associated with the RISE ID. Essentially, it's a signature through the RISE ID that helps them take actions on our system. So in the case of a company here or organization with different sets of hierarchy, we have the master wallet, and then each, let's say, pay managers, like it could be your COO, your CFO, your accountant, etc., has their wallet, and it could be a RISE security key, which is the wallet that we mentioned we essentially help users without wallet get, and have their wallet here on the RISE ID. So here you can see that Andrew's wallet is actually here. So let's say one day I cannot process payments, Andrew can jump in via his wallet, make transactions. Here you have your team members. Again, apologies, whenever I share my screen these days, it lags a little bit. But you can see your team. You have buttons to invite managers, import talent. You can create new teams, really building teams within companies with different managers. Here you have all my team. For when you have payees, you can see when the payee has been verified. So when they have passed KYC, you can see their unique identifier, their email address. We essentially have different fees that are invoked based on the payment rails that contractors choose when they cash out. So whether that's ACH, wire, local payments around the world, or L1 cash out, or L2 cash out, etc., the employers can cover those fees for the contractors. So let's say here that I wanted to get to Hugo's profile. So you can see that pay schedule I was showing you guys. You can see all the past transactions. You can remove the talent from your team. Now, where it gets interesting is when you want to create a pay schedule with that person, with any contractor. So we have essentially a multitude of types of pay schedules, and here they are. So you have instant payment, which is pretty self-explanatory. You enter the amount, you enter the role of the contractor, scope of work. You can decide if you want RISE to produce a statement of work for you. You enter those and you click on confirm. That will ask me to sign the transaction from my wallet, and then the payment will go out automatically, assuming that I have enough funds on my balance. Pay once, which is essentially a one-time payment that you can schedule at a specific time and date. You can make it automated as well. If you make it automated, you sign the transaction now, and then when the time comes, the transaction will go out automatically. If you don't make it automated, it'll just appear on your pay page here. Then you put the role, scope of work. Recurring, this is obviously recurring payments with different types of different frequencies. So we built out all of these different options. I believe you guys can see them. We are flexible. We can add more if need be. A lot of people came to us and say, hey, what about streams of payments? Is that a thing? We haven't seen this, we haven't seen a lot of demand for it yet. We definitely see some use cases, but for now we haven't. It's definitely something that we can implement as well. But recurring payments, you choose the first pay date, the duration. You can, again, automate all those payments. Then you have milestone-based. This is for contractors that are working on projects based on dates. And then hourly based, where every single week the workers will have to fill out timesheets, and then these can be approved by the manager or not. You also have batch payment. So this is for larger customers that have, let's say hundreds of contractors they need to pay in one shot. They will either enter manually, and you'll be able to see that in a second, but they can enter manually all of the amounts that they want to send, or they can literally export and import back a CSV with all of those information. So these are features that we've built on the spot for our customers based on their immediate needs, basically. And so far it's played out pretty well. So that's, for pay schedules. Funding, this gets interesting as it also shows the flexibility that we have. So again, customers can fund their account either via, let me show you here, either via wire transfers, so fiat, or dedicated deposit address. So basically, all of those chains that we have available, you can create dedicated deposit addresses where you can send funds to. Automatically, we realize that you sent funds to that address, and we can top up your balance. So here, if I go back to the screen, you can see that I've added multiple options. I have a mainnet deposit address, an Arbitrum deposit address, Polygon, Avalanche, Optimism, and I do actually I deleted it a couple of days ago, but a fiat, a bank account that I can add. We have instructions here. Again, the platform was built so that anyone could use the system in a pretty efficient manner. On the contractor side, it's essentially the same UI. Instead of depositing funds, they can withdraw funds. So same, they can add different addresses, they can add bank accounts, they can choose from multiple types of currency, local fiat currencies, and even cryptocurrencies. Although most of our payouts today are done in stables, either USDC or USDT. We also have a Uniswap integration, ramp integration, where only available on Arbitrum for now, but you can select whatever there's a pool between USDC and a particular token, you can select to off-ramp with that token. Your pay page here, where you can see all of your payments that are pending or that are coming up. You can also see your balance, how much you owe now, how much you're going to owe next week, your platform fees here, and then all kinds of payments that are waiting. You can select multiple at once and then initiate payments. You can also generate invoices on the spot if for some reason you need to have those in place. Activity shows all your payments, completed transactions. Again, you can export those. And then documents is the place where you have all of those professional service agreements and statements of work that you can see. You can see where a document has been signed, has been seen, and where a document is complete. You have access to that document. We're also actively reworking and working on our V2, where all of the UI is going to change and improve. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can choose who signs documents for the company. You can choose if you want to generate statements of work, different kinds of PSAs, et cetera, et cetera. I believe that is it. Here you can connect your wallet that's associated with the Rise ID, so you can see where it's connected. And yeah, I believe that's pretty much our platform. We wanted to build it in a very simple manner that's easy to understand, that's pretty straightforward. So far it's been playing out pretty well.
Love it. I love the UI and everything. I did have one question. It's actually the same as JC Tax. Can you explain what happens regarding the payment of withholding taxes in the contractor's jurisdiction and how you guys go about doing that?
Yeah. So again, right now we're only working with independent contractors, meaning that those contractors are responsible to declare their revenue and then pay their taxes. Like, we don't do that for them. What we do is generate and file the 1099s for them. Gotcha. But then when it comes to paying those taxes and withholding the amounts, they're responsible for that. Now, when we launch payroll, when we become the employer, all of those withholding, tax deductions, and then paying out the different agencies at the state, federal, and local levels, we will handle that. And for that, that's part of this new system that we're building. We're launching in a couple of months, where all of those will be automated on chain, and will be essentially via different providers. We'll be able to say Hugo's based in New York and in Manhattan in the US, and these are all the different taxes and withholding that we have to do. And from that, we'll be able to deduct and then pay the relevant agencies.
So you're saying that that's like a Q2 roadmap, or is that?
Yeah,
okay,
it's
cool.
it's a Q2 goal of ours.
Cool, nice.
Hi, and again, we're going to start.
Just a question. From my understanding, before you guys roll out the services to employers, like employees, you're going to have to roll out the full payroll system, or because you said right now you're just working with independent contractors.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's obviously a lot of pieces when we talk about launching our payroll service, but part of it is the infrastructure, and essentially adding new smart contracts, revamping some of our smart contracts to automate, for example, the tax deductions on chain. But then we're also setting up entities across the states, and getting, the different agreements in place, and then, and launching our services. We also have to work with healthcare providers, et cetera. There's different pieces, but part of it is infrastructure, both from a technical standpoint and then from a legal and compliance standpoint with different entities in every single state.
And yeah, so when the payroll runs, it actually is sending that payment and doing the deductions at the same time and forwarding them on to different accounts of ours for us to then forward on to the government agencies, local, state, federal, for the United States.
Love it, love it. Now for the audience here at the conference, a lot of them are CFOs, CPAs, and others in the finance space. Can you touch on a little bit of like the audit trails and records that would be from the contractor side? Like, was that in the activities tab, or would that be found somewhere else?
Correct. Yeah, that's in the activities tab. And then of course, with all of this, there's always on-chain exports and,
Of course,
and
yep.
all of that too. Yep.
Great. From the highest level, from your point, is there any accounting or tax things that anybody should be aware of when they're using a system like yours and paying people from the contractor side, at least?
Yeah, everything that's so far with the contractor payments we're doing is all US dollar based. So it's all treated as income. There's not a cost basis versus recipient, and so it's all US dollar. When that user decides when they get paid, it's US dollars. That's how we see it. If they decide to withdraw and then go into, well, let's just say like Unitoken or something like that, then that's for them to then work with an accounting firm to figure out the cost basis and where that money goes and how they manage it thereafter. But
I love it. A big topic from yesterday was collaboration. Obviously, for those that don't know, Rise is a partner with the Crypto CFOs community, and we're proud to have them. And we're working on a few initiatives for this quarter and next quarter. But talk about some of the potential collabs or recent collaborations, and what type of who are you guys looking to collaborate with?
Yeah, a full set of different players in the space. So existing partnerships that we have that are working out well is partnership with Safety Wing, which is an insurance provider for independent contractors. We're also working with Brain Trust. Pretty sure you guys have heard about them, but they're a Web3 jobs marketplace. So essentially any provider or any player that is adjacent to what we do, whether on the employee side or in the employer side, whether that's tax services, accounting services, jobs marketplaces, certifications, boot camps. We're looking to work with those guys and find, either use cases with the Rise ID or just more traditional, more high-level partnerships where we share, customers, referrals, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I mentioned earlier today, but we have a referral program put in place where people can sign up, generate a unique link, share that link, and then based on the activity that generate from it, meaning companies signing up and being active on our system, we share parts of the revenue with them. So yeah, accountants are huge, accelerators, jobs marketplaces, et cetera.
The other thing that's to come, we want to spend more time on is finding more trusted partners for the last mile there. So they get paid on the Rise platform, it's US dollar, and then the user decides what they do with the funds after that. Does it go to their bank account, or does it go to some other crypto yielding mechanism or a protocol? And so we're looking for other companies that are in that space of offering the benefits of crypto for investment purposes, or what things you might be doing with your paycheck, 401k, that sort of thing. Who can we partner with to show the trusted partners marketplace of what do you do after you get paid, essentially? Again, whether it's your retirement or some other investments, we definitely want to start building up more of a marketplace for that, but really a trusted marketplace, things that we would put our name on.
You're muted, Brandon.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think that's definitely a great point. And another thing that I love that you guys are doing that I think more Web3 organizations as a whole need to do is education. You guys spend a lot of time creating blog posts. Zach, who's on this call, creates content daily. And I think that's not only necessary for the business to function and for marketing and just exposure, but it's in this whole ecosystem that we're in, regardless of where you find yourself, it's education. We need education across the board in many different forms. To me, taking a step back and even just looking at this conference, the biggest thing is collaboration, education, bringing people together. So I commend you on what you guys are doing. The content on the website, if you haven't visited, be sure to check out riseworks.io, I believe. Check them out and learn more for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, I just have one last question. So you mentioned earlier that employers could have high frequency of transactions or payments to employers, and it could be low amounts. Do you all experience, or have you all experienced any internal constraints with processing high volumes of transactions, or is that a is that a pretty reliable internal control?
Yeah, not necessarily systemic like system limitations right now, but like, it's still we're on L2 and it's still not cheap when you start talking about high volume payments. So I'm really looking forward to EIP 4844 and what that's going to bring for us. And so right now we're spending a decent amount in Ether just to get those transactions through. But so far we haven't had massive peaks where we can't get transactions through fast enough or anything like that, or it's really just making sure the system is up and live and healthy and keep feeding it essentially until hopefully again gas costs go way down. So
yeah, because I know you all have the different frequencies of payment. I think maybe even saw daily. So I know that can probably be taxing on the system.
yeah, I mean, we've created a system where it pretty much will queue. I mean, it's not where you send a payment and it always has to instantly be there. It'll queue up. If we get 1,000 transactions all of a sudden, it will continually process those until they're all fulfilled essentially. So it's able to smooth out a lot of that those peaks and valleys of transaction creation.
Proto dink sharding. Yay.
Yeah, I know, it's gonna be great.
Awesome, guys. Well, anyone else have any remaining questions? Let me just open up the Q&A. So, oh no, we already addressed those, the regarding withholding taxes and things like that. So, very cool. Well,
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the objective of RISE is ultimately to become also a sort of co-op for people for, if they want to get healthcare, all of that stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. And the first step at it is by us becoming the employers. But eventually we will, get into the zones where we are co-employers with businesses and offer all of those, healthcare benefits and different packages.
Okay, very interesting. The last thing we were talking about contingent payments. We meant a few contingent payment kind of things. I would like to talk to you guys about that if possible. So I'll reach out later.
Absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
cool, cool product you guys have.
Thank you. And we are available, as Taylor said, riseworks.io, available on LinkedIn and everywhere. Our doors are wide open for collaboration, exploration, and partnerships.